Hi there, welcome to Leah Recaps. The movie begins in the near future, where a civil war has engulfed the United States, fought between the federal government led by a third-term president and various secessionist movements. Despite a televised address by the president that victory is close at hand, veteran war photographer Lee watches the news with disgust. The next day, Lee, along with her journalist colleague Joel, are caught in a suicide bombing as they attempt to cover growing civil disorder in New York City, along with young aspiring photographer Jesse, who idolizes Lee's work and is surprised to see her idol saved her. Surviving the incident, the two journalists share drinks with their mentor Sammy, who writes for what remains of the New York Times, and reveal their plan to head to Washington, D.C., and attempt to interview the increasingly isolated president before the strongest secessionist group, the Western Forces, led by Texas and California, may make it to the capital. Despite trying to dissuade the pair, Sammy, with Lee's approval, is allowed to join them so he can head to the current front lines at Charlottesville, Virginia. Later at night, while having her bath, Lee reflects on the incident they experienced. The next morning, Lee finds Jesse has talked Joel into letting her join the trio, a request Lee acquiesces to. They start their perilous journey. En route, Sammy and Joel do a mock interview of the president. They also find lots of abandoned vehicles on the road. The group arrives at a gas station to fill gas, and after a series of questions and a cash tip, the armed owners sell gas for them. Jesse comes down from the vehicle and observes that the gas owners are also torturing individuals they claim to be looters. Lee asks to take a picture of the victims alongside the perpetrator. Back on the road again, Lee regrets not doing anything to help the individuals being tortured, and she is reminded of the importance of minding one's business by Joel. At nighttime, the group takes some rest. Lee talks about her plans to quit her job, and Joel informs the group about his plans for the next day. The next day, the group witnesses combat between secessionist militia and loyalist forces. The militia tries rescuing one of their men, but it wasn't successful as he was shot dead. Jesse and Lee take part in the action by taking photos under the protection of the militia. After an intense gunfire exchange, the military wins and the loyalist soldiers surrender, but the surrendering soldiers are executed. They later arrive at a refugee camp in West Virginia for those displaced by the ongoing fighting they appointed to a tent to get food. Jesse and Lee also take the time to bond and talk about their careers. The group leaves the camp and comes across a seemingly idyllic town under watchful guard where residents attempt to ignore the war entirely. Through this period, Lee begins to see Jesse's potential as a photojournalist. While traveling along the highway, the four believe they are being followed, only to find the vehicle behind them to be Lee and Joel's friend Tony and his colleague Bohai, a pair of Hong Konger reporters. After some car hopping, Bohai disappears while driving off ahead with Jesse in the car with him. The others catch up with the vehicle, finding it abandoned, and discover the pair held at gunpoint by unknown uniformed militia who are burying civilians in a mass grave. Against Sammy's objection, the other three attempt to negotiate their release, but the leader of the militia executes both Bohai and Tony for not being American. The others are saved by Sammy after he rams the group's truck into members of the militia, who shoot at the vehicle and end up shooting Sammy. Due to his injury, Joel takes over driving, and Sammy succumbs to his injury. Traumatized by the events from the day prior, the remaining three arrive at the Western Forces Forward Operating Base in Charlottesville, where it's revealed that the bulk of the remaining loyalists have surrendered, leaving Washington, D.C., largely undefended outside of fanatical remnants of the armed forces and the Secret Service. The trio embed themselves with the Western Forces as they assault Washington, D.C., where Jesse repeatedly exposes herself during fighting to capture photographs while Lee struggles with PTSD. After the Western forces breach the White House's fortified perimeter, the three find the building largely abandoned. The soldiers they are following get into a firefight with the few Secret Service agents still guarding the president. Lee is killed shielding Jesse from gunfire, who captures Lee's death before continuing forward. Entering the Oval Office, the pair watches the cowering president is dragged out from under his desk by soldiers who prepare to summarily execute him. Joel momentarily stops them to get a quote from the president, who replies, "Please, don't let them kill me." Satisfied with his answer, Joel stops delaying the soldiers from shooting the president, while Jesse captures them standing over his body. The end. If you enjoyed our latest movie recap, please remember to hit the subscribe button and like the video.